Your eyes and continue in the energy and intention of peace and healing, and allow yourself to open your heart, connecting with each and every person here in this room today. And together we create one heart filled with the desire to offer love and healing to each other, to ourselves, and to all of our brothers and sisters and children on Mother Earth. With each breath, become more relaxed, more connected, more open, and tune in to love. And now, together, we focus our intention and attention on blessing our brothers and sisters who were affected by the recent tragedy in Florida, and all of the children whose lives were lost, and those who were injured, and those who lost loved ones. And we ask that they feel and sense our love and find comfort in our compassion. Our world is experiencing so much pain and suffering. And we know that through the power of this moment, we are bringing forth great healing. And although we don't know all the answers, we know that Spirit does, and we trust that. And we ask, how may we be of greater service to our fellow man? Be still and listen. We choose love. We choose peace. We choose forgiveness, and we offer ourselves, our hearts, to Spirit to guide us, lead us, and direct us, to be the presence of love everywhere we are. And so it is. Good morning from the Namaste Center, and really happy to see everyone out here live, literally live, physical bodies in front of me, and live via Facebook. So happy everyone's tuning in one way or another, and just grateful to be here today, and for so much, just grateful for so much. And we just had a meditation that weighs a little heavy, I think, on all of our hearts about the recent tragedy in Florida. And I'm choosing to go into that a little more, a little further into my talk, but wanted to start today off speaking about Lent. And interestingly enough, this mass shooting that happened in South Florida was on Valentine's Day. It was on the first day of Lent, Ash Wednesday, and it was very tragic. And I just send all my heart and prayers to everyone involved. I mean, of course, the families and the friends of those affected, but you know, this is a big, big wake-up call for all of us. These things should not be happening on our planet by any means. But I do want to go into a little bit before Lent, and it is, as you know, the 40-day fast that represents Jesus' 40 days in the desert, okay? When he was faced with the devil, you know, came face to face with Satan. And I don't know, you know, we have different depictions of who and what we think Satan may be. I would say that Satan or evil or the devil, in my belief, is anything that keeps me from my connection to Source. It could be a belief system, a judgment, a fear. But I do believe that this 40 days represents us, you know, letting go, you know, making that commitment. Some, you know, in the when I was a kid, it was always, you know, you'd let go of sugar maybe, and you know, then maybe when you get older, you're letting go of cigars or cigarettes or alcohol or what, pasta, whatever. I'm not letting that one go. But anyway, you know, and we sacrifice things, and that's okay. It's an intention, and we were always asked to let go of something that wouldn't be easy. Like I could say, well, for Lent I'm giving up onions, and that would be a real easy thing because I hate onions, you know. I gave up onions, I didn't have one the whole time, and I haven't had one in 57 years either. But you know what I mean. So it is that, for me though, at this point in my spiritual development and my path, it's a deeper meaning. And so, you know, it's really about letting go of everything that keeps me asleep. You know, we've committed this year as a group at the Namaste Center to walk in the greatest degree of forgiveness possible. Because the bottom line is, for us to be fulfilling our purpose as spiritual beings is to be awake, to be present, to be forgiving, to be loving, and to let it go. So we got to face that devil, okay, face to face, and say, no, I know that I am not that, and you're not going to take hold of me anymore. And so what I'm choosing to do is every time that devil or that ego or that issue or whatever pops up, just face it head on and just blast it with that love light. You know, just see your heart just blasting this big light and watching it just disappear. You know, it's just kind of, I always think of the Wizard of Oz and the Wicked Witch, you know, the water, you know, and she's like melting. And I always thought that was so scary as a kid. But, you know, I envision now this letting go, this blast of love, this blast of light is just melting away and disintegrating everything that doesn't serve my greater good. Because we've got situations on our planet now that are coming to the surface, which is our 40 days in the desert. I see this as an individual issue. You know, this is a spiritual issue, Lent. Okay, it's something we do as spiritual beings, and we make that commitment. But actually, it's more than that. It's an issue with every man, woman, and child on this planet. And everybody's devil is up, okay? Everybody's stuff is up. And I noticed one thing that came out this week, and that it wasn't that well received, and understandably so, because how easy, and I'm guilty of this too, so is it to say, well, I send my thoughts and prayers. And that's a wonderful, sweet, kind thing to do. And certainly, I am not saying not to pray, because prayers work, absolutely. But, you know, what's the action that we're going to take? The Quakers, one of their little mantras is put feet to your prayers. You know, ask, and so what we need to do is ask how I can be of greater service. Well, step one, clear up your own stuff, okay? Because every time I face that demon in my own life and heal that, then everybody's lifted by that gesture, just by that alone. And that's huge, absolutely huge. If you did nothing else, that would be a huge gift, not to carry that bag of stuff around with you. But I'm finding that with this situation, it's not okay anymore. I mean, by my ego's judgment, that is not okay. But I don't think it's my ego's judgment. I think nobody needs to suffer and die that way. Nobody needs to send their kids to school and be afraid that they may not see them in the afternoon. And so it's like, what can we do? You know, how can we put our feet to our prayers? There are going to be marches. These women's marches, although some people may see those as then they've been hugely attended, and hundreds or millions of people participated in those. But I will say that the part of it I align with and resonate to is the part that's working on healing and unifying and joining. Any part of that, which I have to say that's not even where I go with that, but any part that creates separation or blame or condemnation is not doing anything to help the cause. So what can we do? We can find solutions so everybody can win. The bottom line is this young man who took on this horrific act and bought this semi-automatic weapon, which in my mind, it's mind-boggling. Why do we need those? I will be the first to say I am for guns. I'm for guns, but not semi-automatic. And I do think that we need to be more tuned in to who's buying these and who has guns and licensing and background checks. There's no harm in that. I don't know what the resistance is. Yeah, it's not about everybody giving up their guns at all, but let's be more mindful and more loving. How can we do things to not allow this to happen? I see this young man, and I think it's another important thing that we have to take into our hearts is what kind of hell could he have been in to do this act? No one in their right mind who was feeling loved would do that, bottom line. I mean, so he needs our prayers too, as much as anybody, as much as the victims. And I know that that's not a popular statement in many environments. And I can understand that it's a raw statement to say to someone who's lost their child. Of course you're not going to sit there and say, well, you know, we got to forgive the gunman. But even though we saw that as the case in Newtown, Connecticut, when the father offered forgiveness to the shooter. So it is possible. But that takes a great degree of faith and spiritual maturity to be able to do that. But since it's maybe not so personal with us, we can do that. We can send this kid and every kid who's being bullied and afraid and feels like that's what they need to do or all they have to do, we can offer them prayers because they need it as much as anybody or more than anybody. Now, we talked about letting go, and you know, that to me is what Lent's about, the 40 days in the desert, facing our stuff. It's our attachment to the dream, the form that perpetuates our suffering, okay? It's not the stuff that perpetuates it, it's our attachment to it. People say money is the root of all evil. Its attachment to money is the root of the evil. It's not the money. The money can be used for ego or holy purposes. It's just about everything, you know, technology, you know, the computer, Facebook can be used for ego or holy purposes. It depends how we direct it. I use it as a part of my ministry. I learn great things from Facebook. I don't use it as a tool to condemn and perpetuate separation. So everything can be used in that way. But this quote from Eckhart Tolle, he says, how do you let go of attachment to things? Don't even try, he says. It's impossible. Attachment to things drops away by itself when you no longer seek to find yourself within them. And isn't that the truth? And I think that so often we have this attachment to money, okay? Money's like the big one. How many degrees can we get? How fine of a car can I get? What neighborhood can I live in? Where, what kind of jewelry, whatever the nonsense is that we think is going to fill that void in our heart. Once we know that we're complete and whole already, those things, they're fun, they're fine. It's great to be able to have money to spend and to share and to do things with. But once I put my identity or think that I am that, we've missed the point. And that's going to be another veil that drops between me and my awakening. So I found another quote on Facebook. It says, get rid of anything that keeps you mired in acquisitions that contribute towards a cluttered life. And clutter, there was this guy on Oprah years ago, I forget his name, a British fella, it doesn't matter. Anyway, he wrote a book, he was a big clutter expert, and he used to talk about this. He wrote a book called, Does This Clutter Make My Butt Look Fat? And so clutter is, that is huge, because it's all this stuff that we have to take care of, that we have to dust, that we have to protect, that we have to ensure that you got the message, okay? And again, it's nice to have things. It's fine if you want beautiful things around you. But I also, one of the greatest things I heard about stuff, okay, is surround yourself with things that are beautiful and things that bring you joy, period. So if you just sort of like, that's okay, get rid of it. If it sings to your heart, keep it and take care of it, because that's lifting your vibe. If you look at it like, I got to polish the silver this week, and dreading that, or, I get to polish this beautiful silver that was my great-grandmother's, and I just feel her heart with me when I have this. But it's attachment that we have to all this stuff. And Socrates says, he is nearest to God who needs the fewest things. And I do believe that to be the case. Simplicity, letting go, fewest things, I would say, in stuff, but also fewest things going on in the mind is also he who is nearest to God is those who have the less stuff going on in their mind. Excuse me. And this one thing that I really do, that this Lent also has brought to my attention, is when Jesus was asked, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And Jesus replied, you know what that is? Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets have hung on to these two commandments. Love God with all your heart and soul and love your neighbor as yourself. It doesn't get much easier and more profound than that. If we would just do that, we wouldn't see these shootings, because we would love God so much that we would make it our business, make it our father's business, make it our mother's business to go out and be a light into this world. We'd offer forgiveness more freely. We would see our neighbor's needs as our own. And that sometimes is like, I really don't feel like baking that cake today or going to visit or what have you. But, and that's okay. Sometimes we just need to chill, and that's okay too, because we can't give from an empty cup. But open ourselves up. I believe that the more we clear our stuff up, the more we open our hearts, we just naturally become more loving and extend this to the world. And so I do see our country being in its own 40, the world, not just our country, being in its 40 days in the desert. And we're being tempted continually. It's being put across the media, the commercials, the magazines. Everything is, oh, you need this to be successful. You need this to be beautiful. Yeah, take this fat pill, this skinny pill, this shot, this blah, blah, blah. You got the message. So we're always being distracted from what lies within, which is where the real treasure is. So it's really a time for us to turn away from the darkness, put our feet to the prayers. And what can each of us do? And that's different for each and every one of us, but be still and ask. And of course, put a little love in the world. Now, A Course in Miracles has a quote which I love, and it says, again, very simply, a sense of separation is the only need we need to correct. If we felt connected and loved, we'd never harm another person. Mm-hmm. So it's a sense of separation. There's been articles that I've read, again on Facebook, about addiction, okay? And addiction isn't only to the, alcohol and drugs and gambling. Addiction can be to lots of stuff. This basically out here doing something to change me and make me feel better. But it said that this article that I read said that really addiction is an effect of separation, feeling separate and alone. That's why it's so important to have community, to have friends, to have family, spiritual family. If you don't have your biological family, how wonderful it is to have our Namaste family and be able to connect and support each other in that. Not feel separate and disconnected. Because really, we're never alone. We just think we are. We really just think we are. In truth, we are always connected to Source. And if we live from that space, ask for help when we need it. Don't be too proud. I mean, I said to someone last week, I don't know, we were just messing around here during the day one day, and I said, we're just one big, happy, dysfunctional family, and we just love each other. And and it's okay. We all got our stuff. We're not here to hide it anymore. It's kind of like, okay, put it out there, and we love each other no matter what. Okay? That's a gift. It really is a gift. But I read just a few things that we can do to maybe bring more unifying and joining and healing. And engage in conversation with people who serve you. Like at the if you're at public, Ingalls, I'm not in Florida now, yeah. Ingalls or Fresh Market or the co-op or at a restaurant or wherever, just engage and eye contact and connect. That's so powerful. Say thank you and tell people how much you appreciate them. Call an elderly neighbor or a friend and ask if you could be of any help. Do you need a cup of tea or a bowl of soup or whatever? Of course, this is a big one. Shop locally and support your local farmers and local shops. I know I'm way too much on Amazon shopping. I love the ease of it, but I also see that the value of supporting local commerce and how we can support each other in small business and sustainable living. Hold doors open for people. I think that's one of the greatest things I remember from my father was going to Bob Evans, which we did often, and he ate there almost every day up until he passed away. And he would, here he'd go on his walker, but he'd still find a way to hold the door open. And I just, that was such a message that he was sending to me, he wasn't waiting for someone to, fall at his feet. He was still able to move, so he was going to do what he could to serve another. Smile at people. That's a great gift. Be a nice driver. That's don't be so tempted to flip someone off when they cut you off. Just bless them. And take time to pray for your neighbors. Email or call a charity and tell them the great work they're doing, and then thank them. Spread niceness on Facebook. How about that? Spot ways of helping people. Just be a little, watch people and just, anonymously help people who might need it. Gratitude walks. If you go on a walk and you just appreciate nature and the little stones, and Ellen's so good at that. I'm one of these who when I walk, I'm walking and moving and all over the place, and Ellen's like looking at everything. She goes, will you slow down and just appreciate it? I gotta get my heart rate up. And but appreciation is such a huge gift that we can offer to the world, and it reflects back to us. Pay it forward, I love this, you hear about people who are in line at a drive-through. They'll say, here, pay for the next 3 cars behind me. And then what happens is a chain reaction starts, because people are like, well, pay for them, pay for them. Because, it's contagious. Kindness and generosity are contagious. Be kind to strangers, open a conversation, offer your skills for free. If you're a painter or if you're a healer, offer those skills to someone for free. Dr. Bob, nobody does that better than you. You are just the most generous, kindest man. Yes, you are. Clear out unwanted items and donate to charity. So 40 days of Lent, I also read where if you took one thing a day, one item a day out of your house for 40 days and donated it, you're freer and you're helping someone else. Isn't that awesome? Send flowers to someone. It's always nice to receive flowers. Ed grew this. Isn't that amazing and spectacular? It's beautiful. And there's something about flowers that just lifts the heart, and that's beautiful. So it's an awesome thing. So this, I found this and I love this. And so it says, do you want to fast this Lent? And this is from Pope Francis. He says, fast from hurting words and say kind words. Fast from sadness and be filled with gratitude. Fast from anger and be filled with patience. Fast from pessimism and be filled with hope. Fast from worries and have faith in God. Fast from complaints and contemplate simplicity. Fast from pressures and be prayerful. Fast from bitterness and fill your heart with joy. Fast from selfishness and be compassionate to others. Fast from grudges and be reconciled. Fast from words and be silent so you can listen. So all of those are so rich and things that if we would, we think we've got problems and life ain't easy. I'll be the first to say that. And yes, stuff comes up and it hurts and it's painful. And, when we're feeling good, reach out a hand to someone who may be struggling, because we may need their hand back another time. We're all here to teach and support and honor and love each other. Giving and receiving are one in truth. So, when you can give, and when you need to receive, don't be afraid to receive, because that's what it's all about. That's how we're going to wake up. That's how we fast from the darkness, the fear, the ego. So this year, we're continuing our theme of forgiveness. I'm asking us to give ourselves the gift of letting go of everything that keeps us from living from our heart. It's time for our brothers and sisters and children on this planet to step up, because the world needs us. And it's a great time to be alive. And it is a time of great spiritual awakening. There's a great, great world lying ahead of us. We just have to be open, willing, and ready to receive it, and let go of all the stuff. So happy Lent. Let's see where we land on Easter Sunday. We'll be in resurrected consciousness. It's going to be awesome. And ain't life grand? So thank you so much. And thanks everyone for tuning in on Facebook, and really appreciate it every week. And if you're so moved, we would appreciate your support of our Namaste Center. You can go to the website, thenamastecenter.com, and make a donation. And that enables us to continue our service to each other and to the world at large. So namaste, everybody. Peace and love. Okay. So that's so much fun.